Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of our Next Step series, where we will focus on job search strategies. My name is Andrea Mayer. I'm the Director of Career Development here at Concordia University St. Paul. Hopefully we've met in the past or will in the future. And also photo on the screen here is Esther Vong, my colleague, who you also may have worked with in the past or hopefully will get to meet in the future. So a little bit just housekeeping recap of how this works. Our Next Step series is weekly on Fridays from 12 to 1, typically focusing the first half an hour on presentation, followed by any Q&A. The sessions will be recorded, and that's just the content and delivery, none of the Q&A, no attendee information, and then it will be posted on the Career Development website as well as sent out in the weekly emails, the reminders for the next week's session. And a reminder that you do not need to attend each session to participate, just pick which ones or which topics are of best interest to you. So as we're going through our weekly topics, we are again on week 4, where we will focus on searching for jobs. Today is Friday, October 23rd, and then next week moving into grad school exploration, same time as the Minnesota Government and Nonprofit Job and Internship Fair. Register for that if you haven't yet and are interested in. And then we'll move into preparing for the interview, mock interviews if you sign up, and then negotiating salary and accepting the offer. So today, going through creating a job search plan, deciding to which jobs you should apply, navigating job boards, working with recruiters, and then finally attending job fairs or just virtual now networking events with employers. So first, the job search plan. I want to talk big picture items here. And if you've been on some of our other sessions, you may have heard some of this already, but you want to identify what your goal is and what is the realistic expected timeline until hired. So if we think that a job search is taking about 3 to 6 months, 3 to 4 months to be hired, you probably want to start searching for that job before you graduate, probably 2 months before you graduate, maybe 3. If you think of the time it takes to find the job, apply to the job, go through the recruiting cycle of interviews and whatnot, that will put you possibly in that timeline right until graduation. Setting a realistic schedule for job searching and defining your workspace. Both of these comments are made because you want to think of this job search as a job in and of itself. So defining your workspace, where are you going to work best when you are doing a morning routine, afternoon, night, and is it at the kitchen table? Is it on the couch? Is it at a coffee shop? What can you do to really make yourself feel confident and in charge with what you are doing and what you are preparing? And then to go through some of these job search to-do items. So preparing your materials, you have your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn branded well of who you are and the types of positions that you're applying. Scanning your social media. Many recruiters are looking at social media, so recommend making sure what's out there on you is professional and appropriate. If you do have some personal accounts, just making sure that the privacy is set on them. And then you want to consider joining professional associations. I'm not recommending that you have to, but I'm recommending you at least look into it to see if it makes sense for you. For example, if you are a finance major, you might do, right now I'm in Minnesota, so Minnesota Finance Professional Association, and see what might exist and if it makes sense for you to join. Oftentimes you'll find events, they'll have job boards and even mentor programs that you can become engaged in. You also want to tell your network that you are searching. And a way that you could do this, or what I mean by this, is creating an email almost that would say, hi, as you know, I'm nearing graduation, excited to start looking for opportunities in the field of finance. I'm attaching my resume. If you have any pointers or know anybody that may be looking, I would love to connect. Please feel free to pass this along. I hope to hear from you soon. And then other people can be like in your corner, on your team, helping you find opportunities. Also consider volunteering as you're nearing graduation, and for some of you that are graduating here in December, if you don't find employment right away, it's good to do something, and that might be volunteering. Not only are you giving back to the community, which is great, but it's keeping your resume up to date, and you can be networking, gaining new skills, meeting people to hopefully, land you in a better space for employment. And then conducting research, knowing who's hiring, what are the trends in your field, research again, what events you could be attending that would lend itself to have you be kind of in that right spot at the right time for employment opportunities. Also, when you're putting together your plan, you want to have a plan to stay organized. I've been a victim of this myself, of not being organized, which is why I can share this or know to share this, is here's a simple way, having a job search folder on your desktop that would say job search, and then each job you apply to would have account coordinator, target, and within that folder then you have the cover letter you used, the resume you used, and then the job description itself. And the reason it's important to include the job description in a Word document is because oftentimes once a position is closed for accepting candidates, they'll take that down offline. So if you save just the URL and you get a call for that job to interview, you'll go to the link and it's not going to work anymore. So make sure that you save a copy of the job description so you have that. Then searching for jobs, actually doing the searching for the jobs. I first want to just mention understanding the job market and the types of hiring. I'm not going to read through each of these. Feel free to pause the screen here if you want to, but really looking at the difference between a direct hire, being a full-time, long-term employee with an employer, but then there's contract to hire, contract hiring, and temporary hiring, which even pre-pandemic was a thing. It is common. It's not an unheard of thing. I know sometimes a perception is that this is not as stable or secure, and in some instances that's the truth. But I'd be happy to talk with anybody if this is something that you're looking into. And then also the gig economy has been happening and just was given this name not too long ago. You may have heard of it, but you know, we think of the gig economy being Uber, TaskRabbit, Airbnb landlords, and this is all based on that flexible, temporary, freelance type jobs, and you're connecting with other professionals or clients through an online platform. But this also can be those that have multiple jobs, highly skilled contractors, those that are doing side work. That's all part of the gig economy. And when you're starting to think about, okay, what can I do if maybe you can't find a job right away, there are still ways to put your skills to work and to be enhancing, again, that resume for employment purposes. Then we start talking about what is the right job for me, and it's a very common question that I get. Either, you know, I'm graduating with this math degree and I don't know what I can do with it, or I don't know what I want to do with it. And my first question back to you would be, well, what do you want to do? If, you know, time, money, degree, location wasn't an issue, you know, there was a reason you chose this as a degree, why you were interested in this field. So let's kind of rediscover or remind yourself of why you went into this field in the first place. And then, you know, if you think of what that dream job or that outcome is, it might not be where you start. And I would say it's commonly not where you start, but in time you will get there. And part of that is because your dream job very likely does not exist yet, or what will become your dream job, you don't even know that yet. Because I can use myself as an example. I started out as a high school teacher, and my path has brought me into higher education. Never did I think that I would be in higher education. And now I can't imagine not being in higher education. So if I would have limited myself and not stayed open, my journey would not have progressed as it was. And in that, then realizing you are qualified for more than you realize and more than you likely give credit to yourself for. And a tip on that is you have to believe that you can do it in order for an employer to believe that you can do it. And a lot of that comes down to that interpersonal awareness and learning how to communicate all that you have to offer. If you're really stuck on saying, I just don't know where to apply or what to apply for or what jobs, you know, titles to look for, the what can I do with this major resource can be very helpful. And I put the whole URL on the screen here, so if you wanted to go to the website, you're able to. But it will show you the major of math, psychology, communication. I mean, there's hundreds of them on there to go and look to see. It will tell you different industries, different sectors, different types of work that you can do with any given degree, just to help give you some ideas. And then finally, when we're saying what job is right for me, be careful not to hold out for the job, what you think is like the right job that gives you the butterflies in your stomach, because oftentimes we don't know what we're holding out for, and then it gets to a place that you're just not applying. And so the application part is very important, because we need to know that your resume is working. And by working, meaning that employers are seeing it, that employers are reaching out to you. And you also don't want to hold out for the perfect job, because it might be perfect for somebody else and it's a needle in the haystack, and then you've never interviewed before, and then you're putting all your eggs in one basket. This next slide here, talking about general tips, kind of to that point of balancing quality versus quantity, and it truly does become a balancing act. So while you might be glad, and a good thing if you apply to 100 jobs in a given week, that quantity is really high, but at what cost of quality? Are they relevant? Are they things that you would actually be happy with? But in the same breath, you also don't want to limit yourself to just the 5 jobs that you think are awesome quality, because then again, you're limiting yourself in that space. So it's finding the right balance, and that's going to be different for everyone. I mentioned keeping a match of about 60% of the qualifications. We are often, I think just people in general, often to say, oh no, I'm not good enough for that, or I don't match the minimum qualifications, or they would never consider me for that job. We're quick to judge on ourselves that we can't do something. And going back to the slide prior, saying, oops, to the slide prior, you're more qualified than you realize. We just don't give ourselves our own credit for that. So if you're meeting about 60% of the qualifications, unless you want to be a medical doctor or a teacher, something that needs a specific license, if it says 3 to 5 years of experience and you have 2, apply for the job. If it talks about having knowledge of a specific software that you don't have, apply for the job. They can teach software. You never know what the quality or the candidate pool is, so take the time to be applying. And then use keywords from the job description. So as you are looking in the job description, that's going to tell you, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's like a cheat sheet. You feel like you shouldn't have this, what you're able to see, but then put those verbs, put that language in your resume, because companies oftentimes use an applicant tracking system, which scans your resume for a list of keywords. And you want to make sure that your resume doesn't get rejected because it's not a match. And then take some time researching the company. Are they in good financial standing? Do they have any good or bad press in the news? Glassdoor.com is a great resource or a great website to go to get some candid responses of what employers or past employees have said on a company or position. And then finally, I've said it a couple times now, but just apply for the positions, because until you start applying, you're just not going to know. And you might be a fit for something that they don't even have posted yet. So let them decide if you are not qualified, and just start applying for the positions. Again, talking about common job titles. So Indeed.com is a job board, and I like using this as a keyword search. So you're going to conduct a keyword search with your major or your career goal. So I'm going to use math as an example. So I went to Indeed.com and I typed in math. Here are 3 screenshots of jobs that came up: a data analyst, research analyst, and trading operations developer. So I'm reading these, okay, well, I kind of like this idea of a research analyst, and then I can dig into that job title a little bit more. What other jobs are coming up? And I kind of say, like, let yourself get lost. Go into this exploration stage, because again, you are qualified to do a lot more than you're going to give yourself credit for. So start reading through these. If you type in math and you're not really liking what you see, add something on the end. So math specialist, math educator, math trainer, math coordinator, math program director. Start adding some language in there. Or data analyst, consumer goods. You know, start adding more to it. Obviously, the more you add, the more specific it's going to get. But the only way you're going to know is by doing this exploration. And that's where you can also go back to the, what can I do with a major degree or major resource? So this lends itself, talking about Indeed and job boards, is to go into the actual job board itself. So a job board is just that. It's a place that employers are posting jobs. A job search aggregator is like Indeed, where it's pulling from all sorts of, it's pulling from Career Builder, it's pulling from job boards, it's pulling from newspapers, and it's aggregating into one spot. The niche job boards are going to be more specific. So like a finance job board, marketing job board, history job board, and just doing an internet search for something that's going to be specific. A reverse job board, essentially what this is, LinkedIn in a sense is a reverse job board where you could be posting yourself as a candidate, you're open to work, and then employers can seek you out. That can be the same. There are some contract and freelance websites where you can post yourself that you're open to work and open to hire, and then employers can seek you out. The company recruitment site, some of the bigger organizations are going to have a full onboarding process career page that has their job board specific to working at that company. And then freelance contract type work. I think freelance.net maybe, or freelance.com, Upwork are a couple examples again of where you can find specifically freelance and contract work. So this shot here, I intentionally took a screenshot of our job board, and then I'm showing the URL, a screenshot of the job boards that we have on our website, and include the URL that you can go and take a look at. But Handshake is our job and internship board as an institution. We have the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits job board, or looking at a local nonprofit job board in your area. Indeed, a workforce center. LinkedIn has jobs, USA Jobs, professional associations and their job boards, then moving into some remote or virtual work boards, and then gig, contract, and project-based work and internships. A couple tips to getting hired here. Just a reminder that job application systems do not correct typos and grammar, so keep an eye on that. It's a good idea to set up alerts so you know when new jobs are posted, but don't rely on those alerts alone. Still be doing an active job search. Follow companies on social media. I know was it a year or two ago, Twitter was really popular for job postings from companies. So if you're in that space, take a look to see if it makes sense to be there. But even Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, companies are posting when they're hiring. So if that's a space that you're in, follow some of those companies. Also, apply directly on company websites. So if you go to Monster, you go to dice.com, you go to Indeed, and the job is posted, I recommend you find it there, but then go to the actual job website or the company website and apply to the position there. That's just based on hearsay of what I've heard from different recruiters. I've experienced it where I am receiving resumes from people on Indeed, and it kind of jumbles your resume. It doesn't look as professional. I've also heard some instances where employers have to log into Indeed, and so they sometimes forget to. So it's better to go directly to the site. Again, this is hearsay. I don't think it's wrong to do that. I've heard people get positions that way. But if you had an option, I would go to the company website. And then finally, pointing out being available to talk to employers and to answer your phone. And so make sure your voicemail box is set up, that it is accepting messages and not full, and that you have a professional voicemail message. I know many people do not answer calls from strangers or a strange number, and so then you let it go to your voicemail. Well, if it goes to the voicemail and a recruiter can't leave a voicemail message, then that is a problem. And then working with recruiters, two types. So first, a recruiter, their job is to find and hire the best candidate for a job opening. There are inside or internal recruiters and external third-party recruiters. The internal recruiters are going to be, I'll use General Mills for an example. They would have like an internal campus recruiting team or just talent acquisition team where their job is to do some sourcing. It's doing the talent management to see who could I get to fill this position. They might be doing job fairs, some networking. specifically for General Mills and teams within General Mills. An external or third-party recruiter would be like a Robert Half, where General Mills goes to Robert Half to say, hey, I have this hiring need, Robert Half. Can you help me fill that? Then Robert Half will do interviewing, screening, and come up with a top couple of candidates to give to General Mills for them to make a selection based on. And then General Mills pays Robert Half. So if you choose to go that route with the recruiter, you should never have to pay anything for that. And as you're in a job search, I recommend get on the radar of a third-party recruiter like a Robert Half. Let them know what you want and what you're looking for. It's just another person in your corner that can help. Same with the inside recruiters. Set up informational interviews. Ask them when they are most busy for hiring. Ask them what is a good way to stand out as a candidate in that field. Again, that is their job. And you're not necessarily asking for a job in that, but you're inquiring in what their process is. And you can find inside recruiters and even third-party recruiters on LinkedIn in a search. You could say a computer science recruiter, Minnesota, and then you can find people that are recruiting in that space, and then you can have some conversations with them. And then again, here is a screenshot from our website that will show you some employment agencies, Robert Half, Catapult, Aerotech, and then it just gives a little bit of context as to working with them. And then finally, pretty short and sweet, just going to mention attending job fairs or employer events in general. On our website, again, we have the upcoming job and internship fairs that we participate and host, as well as reminding you to log into Handshake and see what events are in there coming up. Just going in there, there are a number of virtual events that our employers are hosting, interviews, resume reviews, info sessions, job fairs, just to get, a different way to source candidates and get to know who you are and what you have to offer, and giving you the opportunity to reach out to them as well. That is going to conclude this week's presentation on searching for jobs and getting that job search underway. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email careerdevelopment@csp.edu, and we are happy to help you. Otherwise, we hope to see you on a future recording or a future session with us.